why don't you introduce yourself too and what you do with the group? Well, I know you're Tonto, but not everybody does.
I am officially the secretary of Natick for Black Lives Matter. My background was in software engineering. I was 44 years in software engineering. I retired about 20 years ago, and I've done lots of volunteer stuff. You've heard of you've heard of Shine, probably.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I was a Shine counselor for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I volunteered at a hospital, a joint replacement center for 10 years. So,
Wow.
you know, I've been another racial justice group like this one. It's called Knapsack, and a local, really, really nice volunteer organization called Spark Kindness, which is local to Natick.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Just promoting kindness and in principle, but they also have speakers that can help people with some of the issues they have, like their frustrations from COVID, or maybe help with taking care of their kids or being a caretaker. And they usually do about one a month. And sometimes we have over 250 people.
Wow.
Little old Spark and Natick.
Yeah.
250 people. All right, so it's 10:03. So I guess I'm going to get going.
And before you ask the questions, could you just talk about Native Black Lives Matter, what we've done? I've talked a little bit about it to Liz, but from your perspective, what is Native Black Lives Matter?
Well, it's a organization that Deborah started, and it's to promoting racial justice for not only for Black people, but for any disenfranchised, like Indians, disabled, people like that. And that's our goal, is to spread the word about racial justice and justice for the disenfranchised. That's the two main things. And we haven't got a website yet, but we're working on that. And we hope to have that within the next quarter. And Deborah does a lot of things. He sells T-shirts, cups, talks to folks in the church, anywhere. Anyway, we'll listen to her.
Yep.
She'll talk.
Yeah, Liz knows.
I know that well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's my perspective. I've been involved with Deborah now for about almost 2 years, and it's been fruitful, and I've enjoyed it. We have a great relationship. I just recently called her the judge from the Bible. And I'm Tonto.
I'm under the palm tree. See that palm tree?
Oh, yes, you're under the palm tree. Yep, you got to stay warm. All right, I'll start with my very first question. Liz,
Yes.
how did employee options start? What is your history of how it started?
Okay, so it's been around for I'm gonna go with close to 40 years. It started out as a sheltered workshop, and it was on the grounds of Westboro State Hospital when that was still it was still a working hospital.
Mhm.
And then somewhere over the last 30 years, the founder of our club her name is Tony Wolf.
Mhm.
And Tony Wolf was a clubhouse pioneer and started the clubhouse in Marlborough. And the clubhouse is a evidence-based model based on an international standards that help people with serious and persistent mental illness. It was a place when they deinstitutionalized the hospitals and let people out, they realized there weren't a lot of services around for people. So clubhouses kind of formed. And the purpose of a clubhouse was to have these people come together in a community and not worry about their mental illness. So we are non-clinical. We are just based on community and equality and relationship building, and staff and members work side by side. We call everybody members, not clients or patients. And the focus of the club is based on work, meaning that people come in to gain some skills and some purpose and work together to run the clubhouse. And through that, we feel that people build these strong relationships, build some self-esteem, confidence, stamina, with the idea that they'll go back out into the workforce someday.
Wow.
Okay, so
I just want to chime in. As you know, I'm a member of the clubhouse, Tom.
yes,
And
yes, yeah.
I found out about the clubhouse because I was going into partial hospitalization treatment. And well, actually, that was before, yes, it was through partial hospitalization treatment. I had a counselor and they recommended me do them. I didn't know anything about them, but because I like to seek out different avenues, I found it and I love it there.
Yeah.
And I have found community and I support.
It's interesting, just from the title, I knew nothing initially about you. I would think you were at an employment agency.
So I think our goal, we have a new executive director. Well, she's not really new anymore. She's been there for about 4 years. That would probably be a goal of ours, is to change the name. It does, we do get confused for an employment agency a lot for the outside world. Inside the club, it makes a lot of sense because the whole goal is to get people back to work. But I do think that we would love to change the name at some point in time.
Okay.
I think it's empowering from a member perspective. I like it, actually. I think it's empowering because for someone who has a disability to come in and they feel like, okay, this is going to help me get employed. But I understand that the duality of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Is the staff composed of like social workers, trained personnel, et cetera, et cetera?
So actually not at all. So we don't actually have any social workers on staff.
Okay.
We don't have therapists or clinical people. We don't have anyone to dispense medicine. So the way that our club works is we're based on a title called generalist, where everybody in the club does the same work. And everybody sort of is, we all have the same types of responsibilities. So we can help people with housing or with connecting people to community linkages. And I think in our club, the primary qualities that we look for in people are kind and compassionate, people that really respect others, people with disabilities. And I think we have a really nice working environment. So I think the goal of a club when you walked into the club is not necessarily to know who's the member and who's the staff. We don't really have set offices. I mean, I do have an office, but other than that, nobody has offices. It's just an open floor plan where everybody works side by side together.
All right. How many?
I have a follow-up question to that, Liz.
Yeah.
What is, so if they're not social workers, what is mainly, you have to have like a bachelor's degree or you have to have like a associate in some type of field related to social work?
So it doesn't have to be. Education is important to us. So we do tend to look for people with bachelor's degrees. I happen to have a bachelor's degree. but not in mental health or psychology. I have a background in marketing and communications. And so it's really about more your perspective and the way that you work with people is more important to me than being a social worker or a therapist.
Yeah, but people that have disabilities, if you have people that don't understand that or don't have any background in that, it can be difficult to work with people with disabilities. So do you look for any type of experience or affiliation with mental illness for the people that you hire?
Most of our people that we have hired since I've been there, and I've been there for about 8 years, is based on knowing people making recommendations. We very rarely hire someone from a job posting or the internet. So it's most of our staff has come somewhere from human services. It just doesn't mean it's been in mental health. We have some people that have worked with developmental disabilities. We've had people that work with the elderly population. We've had people that work with within the autism spectrum area, along with mental
Yeah.
health. But the type of person is way more important than the background, because you can teach someone how to help someone find benefits, but you can't teach someone to be kind and respectful.
Yes. Thank you.
How many people on your staff?
So our agency is comprised of a few different areas. So we have the clubhouse, which is a big part, and that part has 8 staff. Then we have catering options. We have a catering social enterprise, which has about 4 staff. And then we do some transportation we transport people with disabilities, and that has about 18 staff. So we're probably right around 50 people, 40 people.
Wow, it's a big organization. Now, are the people physically disabled or mentally but disabled, or both?
So the only criteria for our clubhouse is to have a serious and persistent mental illness. So not developmental or, so it's not really people with Down syndrome or autism. It's people with bipolar, schizophrenia, depression. Now, if someone certainly has a physical disability and they have a mental illness, they're more than welcome. We're capable of handling. We transport people in wheelchairs, and our facility is wheelchair friendly. But the prime thing is the mental health challenges.
So
Okay.
my question to you, Liz, is if somebody has, how do you deal with, because I have inside knowledge, how do you deal with someone who you come to the clubhouse, but maybe they're on their meds and they're not doing well? I mean, some people can deal with that kind of setting, but other people you might have to refer. Is there someone who can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think on a day-to-day basis, most people that come to the club are in a stable state of recovery in their mental health journey. But everybody has challenges and ups and downs, and we are fully capable and fluid in helping people assess what they need during that day. We have great relationships with emergency services through advocates. We can call in mobile clinicians to come and assess people. We have an excellent relationship with the Department of Mental Health. We go to them if we need guidance and support. There's the advocates has the respite area right around us, the respite house if people need more but not quite hospitalizations. We work with the social workers at the hospitals for discharge plans when you're coming out of an inpatient hospital stay. So yes, we're fully equipped. But we link people to the resources that they need at that time.
So do you have a clinical person on staff? No.
No.
So, but you don't need that because you have people that are experts
Right.
that you.
Exactly.
Okay.
We would call experts in.
How do your members find you? Do they get referred by hospitals, or how do people find you?
So there's lots of different ways, and that's actually something that we're working on a little bit, is to try to find more people. So the traditional way to come to the club is, yes, probably through the hospital. Someone will have a crisis, they might get hospitalized, and then in their discharge plan, if they're not ready to go back to work, or they need some extra support, they would be referred to us to come. But through the pandemic, we're realizing that there's so many more people in need of mental health services that may not have gone through the traditional hospital route because there's not enough beds. We're definitely in a mental health crisis through the pandemic. So we're looking at different ways, but therapists refer us, hospitals refer us, the Department of Mental Health refers us. In this area, the large mental health agency is called Advocates. Advocate staff refers people to us all the time. So yes, but it is a referral process. So you can't just walk in the door and say, I want to be a member. You have to have a diagnosis by a clinical therapist. And once that, it's free. So there's no insurance. We're not based
that
on
was my next question. It's free. All right. How do you get funded?
through the Department of Mental Health.
So in terms of people of color, since this
I
is
see.
Black Lives Matter,
Yep.
do you have a significant portion of people of color, or what is the percentage? And if so, how could you increase, do you think?
So I would love to work with your organization to find more people of color. I think traditionally our clubhouse is not fully representative of Marlborough, which is really the goal. I'm not sure why it's not. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or how we can reach more people of color, but Deb, you're in there too. We are open and welcome, but we don't get as many referrals, and I'm not actually sure why that is.
Well, I can answer that, Liz, in a way, because Tom, let me just have a little time to answer this, to speak to this from a Black perspective. I was diagnosed in 1983 with bipolar disorder. And ever since then, I have been in the quote unquote system. And I have had, I work with psychiatrists, I work with people, I'm a member of Advocates, and et cetera, so forth and so on. But because of that experience, Liz, I have been able to get the services that I need because, like I said, I have a good family structure, and my background. I went to Tufts University, so I'm the type of person, and Tom will tell you that, and Lisa can tell you, I use just about everything I have, even though I have a disability. I'm at your door knocking, Liz, can you such and such and such? So how I found out about it was through Advocates helping me. I had my leg was, I had a broken, I couldn't walk. I went to the emergency room and I saw somebody with a tag on that said mental health department. I says, well, where are you guys? And so that's how I got into the partial program. Fast forward, Liz, I have a lady in my building who wants to get into the program, and I also have a nephew who wanted to get into the program. But the paperwork aspect of it, some people of color, I can't say all, but they don't know how to go about it. So I'm pretty well connected with my doctors, my psychiatrists. So when I had to get the paperwork to get into the program, because you need paperwork, right, from your doctor stuff. I know how to do it. I know how to get it. Here it is, I'm in, right? But other people, like my neighbor, I was like, all you have to do is get the paperwork. I have Donna, working, sent her the application, but it's just like, sometimes there's so many different problems that we might have that maybe people in the white community don't have. Maybe we have other issues. Maybe it's diabetes that we have on top of the mental illness, obesity. So people get bogged down in things that I never get around to getting the paperwork in. Just basic stuff like that. So my role is Black Lives Matter, and I'm an advocate for people of color. And I'll be happy to help in any way that I can. If you need someone to talk to people about how to get this paperwork in. I had another cousin who I told about the clubhouse, and he was having so much trouble just getting his psychiatrist to get the paperwork that he needed. So I don't know if there's a way to go
Help
ahead.
with that. So a lot of times, if someone comes in and if the paperwork is overwhelming, we can actually sit down with people and do the paperwork, and then we will reach out to the psychiatrist
Okay.
as well.
Okay, that's good. So I could bring my friend Janice with me and she could sit down with somebody. Okay, so that's helpful.
But-
No.
It sounds like most of your referrals come from the hospitals and say advocates. Is that true? Not directly from a say a psychiatrist
Yep, or the Department of Mental Health.
or Department of Mental Health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a psychiatrist, but some people, if I'm a Black person, like if I've been in, my psychiatrist never recommended the clubhouse to me. I found the clubhouse through my own network
Right.
actions.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
So,
that's what it.
I don't know how else to increase that capability for like people of color to get into the clubhouse, but I do see.
Well, I have a few more Black-oriented questions.
But I
Go
do
ahead.
see that Liz, you do have some people in the catering options, Black folks in there cooking and she has a program called Cooking.
Yeah, so Deb, let him
Okay.
ask the question.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to take away from it. I was just putting my perspective as a member on here. Okay.
Yeah, well, I was gonna.
I won't take away from the whole thing because I can be kind of chatty. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, so these are Black-oriented questions.
Sure.
All right,
People-
predominantly, your members come from the Marlborough area. Is that correct?
Well, we do support 13 areas. So we do support Framingham, Marlborough, Natick, Ashland, Holliston, Hopkinton, all the boroughs, Hudson. So in that whole general area.
Okay. Do you know what percentage of Black people are in each town?
Do I know? I do not.
Yeah, that would be an important thing I think to nail. For example, in Natick, it's 2%.
Mm-hmm.
2%.
Yeah.
And
I'm in Natick and Framingham and Marlborough, it's probably higher, but probably not.
it is higher. Yeah, I have some data from I could share with you for Framingham, Ashland, and Natick.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I can certainly share that. It shows the breakdown of white, Hispanic, Black, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's useful information. Like you say, if you're like focusing, say, on Marlborough, Marlborough's got like a 2% Black population. It's going to be very tough to try to get members who are Black because there's not too many of them. And then of the percentage, what percentage have like a mental deficiency? So,
Well,
and so, but if there's, for example, like say Framingham, which has a large potentially percentage of Black people, there you would have you'd always have to do some marketing or something to try to spread the word about yourself and do it in places that if you want to get people of color, you got to know where they are.
Yes.
well,
That's
Liz,
right.
on that note, Liz, I'm having a farmer's market, and I was wondering if I could take some of the brochures to the farmer's market and give them out.
Sure. Sure.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, what the main obstacles of signing up people with color is that just that they just don't see them being referred? Is that the main issue?
Yeah, I think that's probably the main issue is that I just don't see them being as referred as much.
Hmm.
I think there's discrepancies in the healthcare system for people of color anyway. There's disparities and systematic. And, you know, be honest with you, a lot of Black folks don't trust the system. Some of us, and we rather go to church and try to pray ourselves to better health, but, et cetera, so forth. But I think you're doing a good job, Liz, getting
Thank you.
the word. And you definitely have given me a platform at the and just coming here. We appreciate that. And do you think that like sometime I could bring Tom to see what the clubhouse is like?
Anytime. Absolutely.
Okay.
I got a question.
Thank you.
Your staff, you have a total of about 50, you said. What percentage, what is the breakdown of so many, is it Black people, Hispanic people, white people? Just curious. Do you know?
So most, well, first of all, I want to, so 50 people, it's everyone, a lot of them are part-time. So I think we only have 10 full-time. So that, I just want to put it in perspective a little bit. So it's not 50.
Okay, sure.
So the percentage of, it's not high. We do have a few Latino people that work on our staff right now. I would say more directly than people of color or different cultures. We give a lot of people opportunity that are actual members of the club. So we have a high percentage of people with mental health disabilities on our staff, but not necessarily a high percentage of people of color.
Right.
But we're
Do you
working
think-
on it.
Do you think if you increase that, you might get more? You like I work at a company that right now they don't have any people of color in the leadership positions, and people don't understand the fact that the more diverse you are in your hiring or in your staff, the better off you are as a company because you're able to reach out to people.
Yes.
Of that and understand them sometimes. So do you have any diversity training programs, Liz?
So we do. So I think one of the, so we're run by the board of directors. And I think in the last couple of years, one of our big strategic goals for the agency is to really evaluate our hiring process, our board members, and looking at diversity and inclusion. But since we are a relatively small agency, it's not as quick for us because we don't have high turnover from our employees, which is really good news for our members and for our staff. But it makes it a little more difficult to kind of make that transition really quickly. But it is a part of our overall goals of the agency to really look at that and develop ways to attract and attain different cultures.
Well, when you say you don't have high turnover, that I personally like to hear that because it tells me two things. Your pay is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And they like what they're doing.
Exactly. So, yep.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's important.
Yes. But you're right. If people don't leave, it's unless you increase your staff, it's kind of tough to hire diverse people if you're like 90% white and none of them leave. It's kind of tough.
Exactly.
I try to pretend that I'm staff sometimes, but Liz always tells me.
You should tell Liz what company you work for.
I know what company she works for.
I work at Amazon.
Yeah,
I know.
And it's pretty hilarious too.
I know.
But yeah.
Amazon and Apple, the two biggest companies in the world.
Yep.
I think everybody's worked at Amazon at one point, at one point.
No, I never did.
I never did either.
Yeah, but it's so big, the company. So Tom, do you want to ask a question? Or you want me to ask one?
Oh, I'm trying to think if I have any more here.
Oh, I was gonna ask a question while you were looking. So Liz,
ahead.
could you tell me about some of the programs? I already know, but some of the programs, like, you guys have wonderful programs, I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay, so sure. So during the pandemic, we made a conscious effort to do everything hybrid, right? So everything that we offer in the club now is both in person and virtual, so that we're able to reach more people that need services that are still uncomfortable to come in. And those services, the way that our club works is, it's like I said, it's based on work. So we have programs like job readiness training, we have job coaching, we have an employment team that has job placement, where they go out and they help people with resumes, they help on the interviews, they even help talk to the employers if the person wants to disclose that they have mental health challenges. And if they do not choose to disclose, then we work with the member to communicate their needs and their desires and maybe their accommodations. So that's a very important piece of what we do. We offer people a structured day all day long from 8:30 to 4. We offer a hot breakfast, a hot lunch. We are open on every holiday, on the actual holiday that it is. So we had a Christmas dinner there are probably about 25 members that come in that don't have any family or anywhere to go. And it's important to be open on the day of the holiday so that they have a place to go. So we do that throughout the year. We're open for every major holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
Nice.
New
Yeah.
Year's Eve. We have a very strong social component. So we have we have game nights and we have outings. We take people weekly to Walmart or to Target so they can go grocery shopping. I think one of the biggest components of our club, Deb doesn't need this service, but we provide transportation to 13 local towns, and that also is for free. So many people on heavy psychotic, antipsychotic drugs can't drive. So we do the transportation, and that's free, and that's a huge barrier for people.
Yeah.
We also transport people to work if it's within the time of a normal work day. We help people get to work and get home from work, or we help travel train them so that they can use Dial-A-Ride or the actual public transportation system. We have Deb heads up our diversity and inclusion group, which meets, what does it meet, Deb, twice a month?
Yeah, twice a month. Yeah, we're gonna do Martin Luther King again, breakfast.
Yeah, so we address some of these issues and we have ways to do it. But I think the important part of what the programming is for the club is that everything within the club is done by staff and members. So every meeting we have is with everybody. There's no only staff meetings. The members everything is done by consensus. So we vote on things and we ask people if they're not in favor of something, can you actually live with it? And that's how decisions are made within the club. They help develop policies and programs, procedures. So it's a very inclusive, full programming.
It's wonderful, yes. And the
How many
food is
days a
good.
week? How many days a week are you open? Is it
5
Monday
days.
through Friday?
Yep.
Monday
And
through-
prior to the pandemic, we were open on Saturday mornings as a social piece, but we haven't resumed that since the pandemic.
And they also have people that come and visit you. Margie,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I have a lady, her name is Margie, and she comes out and she checks on me once a week or twice a week. She knocks on, hey, Deb, she brings me a coffee, we talk for a few minutes. And that's really important for people, especially who feel isolated sometimes or just need someone to chat with.
Yep.
Yeah, and so.
I have a coffee buddy. Myself,
Yeah.
I do. I talk to this one person senior every once a week for about half an hour.
Yeah.
Good.
Something I was, oh yeah, transportation.
Yes.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yes.
So you probably have transportation that will pick somebody up and bring them to the center.
Yep.
But we'll say a person is sitting at home and they need to get to a doctor. Can they
Yep.
use a transportation So you go and pick them up at the house, bring them to the doctor and bring them back? Is that how it?
We can do that. So if people, so the way that we work is we are happy to do that if they have no other resources. So we do try to get people to build on their independent skills. So we would ask them to, there's all kinds of services in place for people with disabilities. So a lot of times a doctor will offer this PT1 where you can fill out some paperwork and they will do the transportation themselves. We do encourage people to use Dial-A-Ride, which is a very low cost travel plan within certain towns. But yes, if someone absolutely has no other way, we will absolutely do it. And we were huge in transporting people to get vaccines and boosters and test through the pandemic as well.
Now, how many vans and stuff do you have, Liz?
We have 8 vans. So I just don't want to give the impression that someone could call us. You'd have to be a member, an active member to get us with transportation. And we're not really, I don't want you to think like we're an Uber or something, but we will help people as best we can.
Okay. How do you become an active member?
So you have to have a referral from a clinician. You have to have a serious and persistent mental illness, and then you submit paperwork, and then DMH approves it, and then you become a member.
All right. Now, when you're a member, do you have to show up any day, or just any day or any time?
So it's 100% volunteer, everything about it. What you do, how often you come in, what you participate in, it's all person-centered. So we don't have any requirements at all.
Do you have a time limit frame for when you could be a member? Like, can you lose your membership in any type of way?
No, you can't lose it, but many people have reached their goals when they feel they don't need us anymore. They're out working, they're feeling pretty stable in their recovery. They may take a break from us for 6 months to 5 years. I mean, it's very fluid. So people come in and out of the club over years. There's some I haven't seen for 6 years and they'll pop back in. And then there's some that stay with us all the time. If we haven't heard one thing from you in about 6 months, we would probably outreach you and say, are you interested in staying a member? And if they say no, we would disenroll them, but they can always come back. We have a motto, once a member, always a member for life.
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Okay. So that means, say they're, quote, cured.
Yeah.
But they can still come back.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Okay. That's good. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you offer any training for members to become like peer specialists or any other type of training
So we don't offer peer specialist training, but we are connected to the services that do the Kiva Center, and we can help people research it and find out when those services are. The one training that we do offer, which is a wonderful training, it's called Cooking Up a Career. Usually it's funded through grants that we apply for from the agency. We partner with Quinsigamond Community College, and we have a 7-week training, and it's about 12 to 15 hours a week of classroom and hands-on cooking culinary training. And once you graduate from that, there's a nice graduation ceremony, and then we work very hard to place you. You have some real employable skills and some real certificates that employers are looking for, things like Serve Safe and allergen testing, allergen certificates. So that's a great program.
So where do people usually work? They work at restaurants like Papagino's, or do you have examples of where people worked?
Yeah, they work anywhere. They can work in any place. We have people that work right now in some assisted living places, some nursing homes, bakeries, delis, grocery stores, restaurants.
So that's really putting people to work. That's like really giving them meaningful livelihoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to say anything?
Me? Who?
Tom?
Oh.
Hi.
Well, I really like the clubhouse, actually. And because I work, I can't be there every day, and I really like it. I like the morning meetings that, I just want you to know, that helps me to feel part of a community. And also, because it deals with the whole family, Liz, I think that's great too. You know, I have a daughter. Sometimes people with mental illness, if we were parents, and sometimes we don't have the parenting skills that maybe some other people have. So it's good, you know, I've had a one-on-one counselor there. I've been able to talk through some issues regarding my daughter, and et cetera, et cetera. We've had a couple of events that I really appreciated, going to some of the Christmas parties with dances and different, you know, things like that. And I really like doing the inclusion, the diversity thing. And by the way, we just lost Sidney Poitier, who was
Yeah.
94, the first Black man to get the Oscar.
Yeah. I have a dumb question. Where physically in Marlboro is your place?
So we're right over the Southborough line. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but it's on Brigham Street. So we're near off of Maple, near a McDonald's or Kraft Tire. I'm not sure how
So
familiar you
I
are.
get down Route 30 and I go across the viaduct, whatever it is, and then boom, we're in Marlboro, and you're down that road somewhere?
So when you come over, when you come, from where are you coming? From Natick?
From Framingham.
Yeah, so if you came over on Route 30 and you pass all the water, when you get into Framingham, when you get into Marlboro, we're about a mile up on the left is called Brigham Street, and we're about a mile down on that street. Not even, probably.
Okay. I just have I used to work in Marlboro, so a 3-car drive up there. Yeah. So I have some familiarity with Marlboro. And I have a friend who lives in Marlboro too. So I don't have any more questions. You really, I have a very good feel for what goes on there. Very good feel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, wonderful place. I've been there for 8 years. I had no mental health background at all, but hands down, my favorite job I've ever had.
Wow. And it's really good to have people like you, Liz, that are compassionate, fun.
Does your friend, Deb, does your friend Lisa have any questions?
I don't know. She's, Lisa, do you have any questions? If that's okay, if you don't.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. Do you
have any questions for us, Liz?
I've talked to Deb a little bit. The only thing that I would love some guidance, if you have any ideas for us on how to reach more people of color to join our club, I would be very interested in hearing what your thoughts are.
Yes, I like what Tom was saying about the outreach aspect. So we could take some brochures. We definitely can put this on, what do you call it? Natick Pegasus. We also can share this video on Facebook. And if anybody wants to know about going to employment options, this is our PSA. It's really a really great place. It has helped me tremendously. I don't feel alone. For instance, I didn't know where I was going to go on New Year's because I have family. I don't have family in Natick. I have Tom. I call him Uncle Tom. But besides Tom, I don't have any family. And I didn't really feel like going down the Cape with my family. I said, I'll go to the clubhouse. And the clubhouse came by and they dropped off a New Year's Eve hat. I don't know whose idea that was. The New Year's Eve hat and the thing like the blower.
Yep.
I was just so happy. And then I went in the next day, New Year's Day.
Yeah, but I saw you on Zoom and I wish I had taken a picture. It would have been classic.
I had that hat. That was my New Year's. I was
She was a
not alone.
party animal.
Yes,
Wow.
I remember that. And I went to the clubhouse the next day and they
Yeah.
had food, they had quiche, and I
Yep.
was able to see and talk to people on New Year's Day. So I was not alone because sometimes I'm telling you this, my family, they can get tired of me. They're like, oh my God, we want Deb, if you're coming, we don't want drama. And so I'm like, okay, all right. I'll just go to my clubhouse. They're like, thank God. So
Liz, have you tried to work with advocates and trying to, because Framingham has, well, of course, you know, they have the large Portuguese population, but I know it's more than 2% people of color.
Mhm.
And they might be able to give you some guidance or help you out in that area. Like,
Yeah, we work with
Mhm.
advocates very closely. I think, I think advocates needs to do a better job of reaching out too. So I don't know that it's just an agency issue. It's an advocates or an employment options. I think it's, I really think there's some cultural stuff there that we need to kind of break through. I think there's still
Yeah.
a lot of stigma with mental health and people
Yeah.
of color. Like Deb said, I mean, I don't want to say anything out of turn, but I do think that it's more of a go to church and pray than it is to go see a psychiatrist. So we just got to get past that we got to help the community view mental health differently. And I'm hoping that through the pandemic, with so many people coming out about, having their own mental health struggles, that it'll eventually just become mainstream, that people just talk about it like, I have the flu. Well, I have depression. It should be the same.
yeah, that's true. This is Nancy. Nancy,
I was going to say that's supposed to be a partner in crime
a
for
friend of
Liz.
mine. Yeah, a prayer partner of mine.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Nancy, and Tom, I think I met you briefly the other day. And Liz, hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So we're talking about mental health today. You
yeah,
said?
yeah. And Liz runs a clubhouse, employment options for people with disabilities. And
Yeah,
I'm a
Liz, I
member.
think you're right. I think people of color, they don't think about going to a psychiatrist or a therapist. They just don't.
Well, I didn't. I had to actually because I had
Yeah.
a breakdown and I was
Yeah.
thrust into the system.
Yeah.
And but I went in kicking and screaming. I'm still kicking and screaming. Sometimes I don't want to take my medicine. I told my sister, I'm getting off my Memtech. I don't want to take this medicine. She said, no. So,
Right.
but I don't know. I think that we just have a different cultural look at lens. We're not running, it's hard to bare your soul to somebody who doesn't,
Wow.
necessarily look like you, or, have the same experiences that you've had growing up.
And I sometimes, and that's just not people of color, I think a lot of people think of mental health as a sign of weakness, that they just, they should be able to fix it on their own. And, if I do this or if I do that, or if I rest more, but it's really just as serious and imperative to someone's overall health as your physical health. I mean, I say to people all the time, you can't cure diabetes by wishing it away. So you can't cure mental health by wishing it away. You need, the right plan in place, and doesn't always mean medication, but you need a plan.
That's so true. And one of the things that helped me, and I asked Nancy to come on, she leads my prayer group on, and I asked Nancy because I'm pretty religious, and I'm
Yeah.
always, and when I went to Paris, I came back and I didn't go to church. I had all these crazy experiences. I came back and that's when I had my breakdown, and I ran back to the church, and I've stayed with the church, but I couple it with my mental health,
Mhm.
because the church helped me. I teach a Bible study. I wrangle Tom into my prayer meeting, right, Tom?
Kicking and screaming. And now I'm interested,
Yeah.
as you know.
Do you want to say something about this topic briefly?
I can relate to you. I mean, I think as human beings, it's not easy to ask for help sometimes, especially in the mental health area. It does make us feel like, geez, there's something wrong. And I do believe, as Deborah shared too, that like in God and I have faith in his word. And he says that we'll be renewed in our hearts and minds. He's renewing our hearts and minds. And so sometimes the things that we encounter in life that are challenging can be blessings in disguise. And so we seek help and we find the help, and it comes in ways we didn't expect. And then the challenges, as we learn to overcome them and work together with other people who are there for us, or who have gifts and talents that are different from ours, really inspire us and help us to heal. And so I just think it's a beautiful way of how God knits everyone together in a way that is so unexpected. And and I've had my own issues too. Like I've had lots of things that happened to me as a child. And I also think of God's word that explains that, even though maybe we're from all different places or different walks of life, there's things that are common to man. And so we all encounter trials and difficulties, and though they may not be the same, we're in the same boat and we need the same help to get healthy, So
I want to share something with Liz, and Deborah knows this. I've been depression free now for over 3 years. Prior to
Excellent.
that, I was in psych wards more times than Carter has little liver pills.
Really? Okay.
But a doctor prescribed this medication for me called Parnay, which is a very old MAOI medication for depression. And it has worked wonders for me.
Oh, good for you. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
So I empathize with Deborah.
Yeah.
I know what it's all about. I'm a psych ward specialist. I was for a long time. It was pretty bad, pretty bad. I was in at least once, sometimes twice a year for years.
Wow. I'm glad you found something that helps.
Yeah. The medication it would, quote, poop out. That psychiatrists like to say that they would give you this SSRI and it would go for a while, then it would poop out. That'd be a total mess, and I had to go in. Then we find something else, and that would work for a while. Poop out, boom! I had to go in again. It was a nightmare for my wife and my family.
So you never know what people are going through. It's good to be able to talk.
I will say this: I met some really, really wonderful people in psych wards.
It's interesting too, Tom. You never know the impact of these things that we struggle with or have trials in will impact others around us either. And just to share real quickly, like some of the struggles that I had with depression and things over the years, and being in counseling and trying different medications and stuff. My daughter actually ended up going into the profession of healthcare, mental health care, and that's what she's doing now. And she's working, and in a way I never even expected. So, but she just saw how much it helped transform my life, and so she really wanted to be a part of helping others in that way too.
Wow,
Kind of cool.
That's great.
That's good. And so a lot of other things that people use, like meditation and spirituality, all that kind of helps, but you gotta use everything. Seems like you gotta put everything together, like in a smorgasbord type thing,
It's like a puzzle, fitting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I love that illustration. And I always think that too, for me personally, that the piece of the puzzle that really helped connect everything was when I put God in the picture. He's actually orchestrated all those puzzle pieces and is making sense of them for me once I look, but yeah.
I'm actually, that's true. That's true for me too, because I grew up in a Christian home, and so when my mother tells me about read your Bible, okay, Mom, I'm going to read my Bible, right? But I'm reading a book by this woman, because I know a lot of Christian you know, like I know Nancy, I know a lot of Christian people that are leaders in the church. This lady, she sent me a book. I grew up with her. It's called From the Crack House to God's House. And she was addicted to crack cocaine. And
Mhm.
I mean, she did all kinds of stuff. She was into prostitution and she did, oh my God, stole money from her mom. And so this is a person I knew from growing up. But she sent me the book and I'm reading. I'm like, wow. I don't know if I don't know, but I know that she was delivered from it. I know with God's help with prayer, but I know she had to do some treatment too. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
she wrote, I think writing, that's what I do. I wrote that Pop and Be. Writing helps me too. Writing helps me. And I went to that program, Liz, I went to, that program, Walden Behavioral Health for the food
Yep.
addictions. I
Yep.
mean, like you say, it's puzzles, all kinds of stuff we got to put in there, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
But I'm glad you came. I mean, really, it was good to see you today.
Well,
That was
have-
good. Thank you. That was very, I now have a very good feel for your organization, your staff, everything. It was very good.
all right.
And
Thank
just
you
a
very
little bit, just a little bit that I heard too, Liz, is very intriguing. I'm sorry I couldn't have been on earlier, but thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, the club it's a great place. It's a great resource for people.
Yeah, thank you.
It was nice meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a blessed
Bye-bye.
day.